Everyone. So let's wait for at least 5 minutes or maybe at least 2-3 minutes and see if the numbers increase a bit, and then we'll start. Okay, I think we have to start. So anyone present here, can you tell me why the numbers are so low? Is it because of the impending quiz next week, or is it something else?
They'll join in some time.
Okay. I also would like to be optimistic, but yeah, looks like the quiz next week, people are preparing for it.
But sir, doesn't the next week quiz contain week 4?
Yeah, it contains first 4 weeks. I don't know why. Maybe they feel it's theory, and yeah, but some of them will also be studying for other subjects, I believe, Max 2, Stats 2. Yeah, so we have 15. I think we should not wait more than this. So yeah, so as usual, let's follow the same pattern. We'll go from PPA 1 and hopefully till PPA
Actually, you can
11.
start from a slightly later PPA. The first few are simple and we end up losing a lot of time.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. So what I will do is, that's a fair point. So what I will probably do is I will solve the first few myself, or at least I'll show how to do the first few, because so before that, is anyone not able to solve the first question? Is there anyone in this group who has uh, not been able to get the correct answer for PPA 1? Okay, seems
Sir,
like, yeah.
Sir, if you can ask the other participant whether they have any problem in PPA, or we can start at least from PPA 8, 9, 10 like that, because fuser.
Yeah, so yeah,
if we don't, no one have any problem with PPAs, means everyone is able to solve, then we can discuss some other problem.
Okay, fair enough. So looks like no one has a problem, but in the interest of for the sake of completeness, what I'll do is I will present my solution to the first few problems. Okay, we'll follow that approach. I'll do it quickly. Okay, so I'll do it quickly, and hopefully, if there are certain things that are worth catching from the solution that I provide, you can do that, right? So yeah. So what?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Right. So
Truly,
yeah.
sir. Yeah.
Right. So what the question is asking us to do is to accept a positive integer n as input, and then print. Okay. So maybe I will n as input, and then print the list, right, of n integers. So I'll go to the full screen. Let's see how it works. You can all see this full screen right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Sir, we are doing week 2 PPS.
week 4.
Okay.
Okay, so n is the number you have accepted it as input, and now what we are going to do is for I in a range 1 to n plus 1, because we don't want to stop with n minus 1, so we have to go all the way up till n. So L dot append I. Okay, and finally we end up printing it. Okay, so that is all this is. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll not stop with this. Instead, what I'll do is, let's see solution. Okay, so we could do it this way, or we could say L equal to L plus I.
Yeah, without using a function.
Right? Yeah, so this also works. This is the second method. The third method is we could entirely do away with for loop and use while. So whenever you go for while, then you have to start with I outside. We have to initialize I outside while I is less than n plus 1. Okay, you add I to L. Okay, so never forget to increment the loop variable when you are using a while loop, right? So let's see if before running it, let's see if it will work. I equal to 1 will get added first. You'll go all the way till I equal to n. So n less than n plus 1, n will get added. The moment I becomes n plus 1, you will exit out of the loop. So just to be safe, I want to run this and see if it works, because while loop is a bit tricky, so it works, right? So there is one more thing that maybe we'll have to, I could maybe add here. You could initialize list this way also, right? So this is a different way of initializing lists, right? So that is one, or you could fall back to this. So don't need to burden yourself with different ways, but just to let you know that this is also an empty list. This also works. All right, so that is problem 1. Right, so we are done with problem 1. If anyone has a issue with this, stop me. Otherwise, I'll go to problem 2. Okay, so we have to accept a sequence of words as input and add them to a list. And we just have to print the list as output. Okay, so the first input is going to be a positive integer n. The next n lines will have one word on each line. All right, so we'll go ahead. So problem is to accept n words and populate the list. Okay, I again start with n as input, and the list is going to be empty to begin with. So you know the value of n, so a for loop is quite okay here. So for I in a range of n, you are going to loop n times. You are going to accept a word each time, and you are just going to add that word to the list. Right, so this is the basic solution. Let's see if it works. Okay, it works. So here there are few changes that you could do. You don't need to actually define a new variable called input called word. You could just do it this way, right? You could directly append the input to the list, right? So this will also work, but as a general suggestion is to not do this, because this makes it less readable. So it's always better to have a separate variable and append this to the list. Okay, so any questions in this solution? Okay, no, I hope
No,
there
sir.
are. Okay, so there is one more variation here, which is yeah. So see, sometimes what happens is, again, these are all, you don't need to think about this from the exam point of view. You won't ask these things in the exam, what I'm going to tell you now, but these are good to know, because you'll be reading, say, industry code in some time if you happen to work for a company which uses Python extensively, right? So see, notice that we are not using the variable I anywhere here, right? So it's an empty, it's a useless variable. So for such cases, right, Python provides something called the underscore, right? So you can just have something called the underscore. It is also treated as a variable, right? So whenever you use the underscore, it means that it's some dummy variable. So if at all you come across a piece of code somewhere which uses this underscore as a loop variable, then you have to immediately understand that it's a dummy variable, meaning it is not used anywhere in the code. Okay, so if I run this, it will still give me the correct answer. That's because underscore is treated as a variable, right? So remember, variable names can begin with underscore or any letter. So underscore is a valid variable name. But if you see it somewhere in a piece of code, it means that it's a dummy variable which is not being used anywhere. It's a good practice to use this if you are never going to use, say, the variable I anywhere in your program.
So the reason behind this would be the size, right? The space acquired by that variable, or because anyways we have to type a character over there. We are using it or no, we have to type a character. So
Yeah.
what would be the main reason to use
So
that
the
dummy
main
variable?
so the main reason is, I wouldn't say size per se. The main reason would be for a reader, right? So for someone reading your code, say for your colleague in your company or in your organization, wherever, right? So this will throw that person off, right? So the first thing, for example, I would start looking for is, where am I using I? So I is nowhere used, right? So more than
Yeah,
space,
at a glance you will get to know that this variable is not used. So
yeah,
no
why
need
not
to check
just
for if
just
any
use
error occurs.
something else, right? So the underscore is in some sense a way to point the reader that this is a dummy variable which is nowhere going to be used.
So, but in our previous examples, we were using I. Let's say any of the previous weeks, we were using I in range,
Yeah,
and there it was used.
we will continue to use I in range. So that's why I mentioned before I spoke about this, right? That this is just a general, additional piece of information outside the course, the usual course contents, right? So we
Yes.
will never use you will never see underscore anywhere in the assignments or the exams, because we haven't introduced it in the lectures. So this is just to tell you that something like this exists, and when you see the code out there in, say, some large code base, you might come across this, and at that time you should not you should not be wondering what it's all about, right? So that is the whole point. Okay, so next 10 lines, yeah. So nothing much to discuss here apart from this, but I would just, before I complete, I would like to write this using while.
This is which problem, sir?
This is PPA 2.
We discussed PPA 1, sir?
Yeah, we discussed it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I actually got late.
That's okay. PPA 1 is very easy, so you must be able to do it. Okay, so.
Sir, isn't for the preferred one for this?
Yeah, for is absolutely the better option. But see, this is a good practice that you can follow. If you have the time, then you can try to write the same piece of code using both while and for. So if you remember in one of the interaction sessions with the professor, I think the last one, I think he mentioned this point, right? Why can we completely do away with for loop? Can we just rely on while and still our code should work, right? So this kind of conversion back and forth is a very good practice. It will help you sharpen your logic. So let me tell you where it will sharpen it in these endpoints, right? So should it be n greater than 0? Should it be n greater than or equal to 0? In all these things, your understanding of it will become better. So let's say I start with n greater than 0. Okay, so I don't know if I'm writing the correct piece of code, but let's see. I accept the next word as input and then I decrement n. Okay, so can someone tell me, I also don't know, so we'll work on this together. Can someone tell me if this is if this code works, if this is correct?
Yeah.
You have to initialize. Okay, n is initialized. It'll work, right?
Okay, so I want to just test it before I run it. So let's say the words are, so the input is say 2 or maybe just 1.
Word is outside the while.
Word should be in only 1.
Okay, I'll just try it out with one test case. There is one word, let's say hello, right? So what happens? I end up accepting 2 inputs right here.
It will be 2 times hello.
Okay, right? So this is not
Seventh
right
line
there.
is not right.
So what should it be? Should it be n greater than 1? Will it work
So-
if we change that?
So accepting the input in the line 7 is not required. You can remove it.
Okay. Okay, I will keep this as n greater than 0, right? Then
Huh.
okay, I will remove this. Will this
Yeah,
work
yeah.
now?
This should work.
Okay, what am I appending in line 8?
You're appending a word.
Okay,
You-
where is word?
Append the word on before you input.
Okay.
Word should be in 8th line.
Okay, so now you are saying this will work?
No, sir.
Yes.
Greater than equal to 1 will work.
So it should be greater than or?
Equal.
Okay, greater than or equal to 0. Okay. So you're sure this works?
Not 0, sir. 1.
1 or 0?
1, sir.
Okay, if my
If it is
That
greater
was
than
same
one,
as
it
the
will still
previous
work.
No, if
one.
it is a same word, then
okay, let's again try this with the test case 1. Hello. So I'll come in, I'll accept word, and then n will become 0, and then I'll have to accept the second word. So can we agree that it should be n greater than 0 then?
Yeah, it should be only greater than 0.
Either greater than equal to 1 or greater than 0.
Okay, let's try this. This is equivalent to n greater than or equal to 1. So let's try this. Okay, so it works, right? So see this, the reason I did this for this problem is it's a simple problem, agreed, and it shouldn't take a lot of time with for loops. But this exercise of moving between while and for can be very useful, simply because it will make you think about these end conditions, right? When should my while loop terminate? So that is a useful exercise, and that is what we did now. Okay, so that is PPA 2. Does anyone have any questions, or I'll move to PPA 3? Okay.
Sir, I have
sir.
a doubt.
Okay, doubt in what?
Sir, generally the general doubt is
Yeah.
the word input words when they say, I don't know whether to put it in the beginning itself or after declaring n. Where exactly I have to put an input, these kind of situations. Let's say sequence of words I have to input, something like that situation arrives. I get confused whether to put that in the beginning or after declaring n.
So n, see, sometimes the n value will be given, and the question would clearly state that you have to accept n words. So in that case, you have to first accept n and then accept the words one after the other.
Now, in this particular case, if I the empty list, instead of introducing in the second line, I mean, in this case, it is says as 5. Can I put it later also? See, right now the word is equal to input is put in the line 8.
Correct.
So earlier it was put word is equal to input in line 6. Now another confusion I have is, if I put word input in line 4 and then line is empty, the list is empty, will it make any change, sir?
Okay, so I don't exactly get what you're saying. So you're saying you want to put word here, is it?
Suppose if I had put a word like that.
All
Suppose
right.
if I had put a word like that, and
Okay.
I put a list is empty here, will it make a difference? That is where I get confused.
Suppose we put a word in the beginning and we don't put a word in the loop.
No, right? You have to accept the word in the loop, right? So you have to.
Okay. So we need to
Okay.
know the accepting of the word in the loop means it has to come afterwards, and list has to be empty. That's the way it has to be understood.
Yeah. So when you
Okay,
say
fine.
that you have to accept n words, it means it has to appear in every iteration of the loop.
Okay, fine.
Input should also be word. I mean, in the beginning.
Okay.
It can be in both ways.
All right. Thank you.
Right,
Thank
sir?
you so much.
Yeah. So as we keep doing these problems, we'll get a better idea. So accept. So this is PPA 3. So accept a sequence of comma separated integers and print the maximum value in the sequence. Okay, so print the maximum value in the sequence. The test cases look like this. Okay, so for this, as the hint points out, we have to accept a sequence. Let's say we call it nums, and then see, we could do it several ways. I'll write the longer code first. So I split it based on commas. So if I do that, I'll get some list. Okay, so for example, if the input is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, L will be 1 comma. Okay, it will be this. This will be L. Okay, so this is very important. It's not just the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's the list containing the strings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the next step should be, say I can initialize another list this way. So this is the elaborate code that I'm writing. We'll come to the simpler one. For each element in the original list, you are going to convert this element into an integer, and you are going to append this to the new list. Okay, so now this L underscore ints is your list of integers. Okay, now once you have this,
sir.
Yeah.
Sorry to disturb you, sir. One question, a quick question. That num start split means what exactly, sir? What exactly you are doing there?
So if nums is
third line, yeah.
Yeah, if nums is equal to this, right? Nums dot split based on comma will split the string based on a comma, and it will give you this list.
Output will be list.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we are doing here. Maybe the variable names I have chosen are a bit bad. So
num is a variable.
No. So what I meant is, it's okay. Let's go with this for now. L underscore ints, right? So
may I interrupt you for a second?
Yeah.
So, sir, in line 9, you have appended int of an element.
Yeah.
But if you were to say ELEM is equal to int of ELEM and then do the same thing, append ELEM, the code wouldn't work.
It should, right? So you're saying ELEM equal to int of ELEM, right?
Yeah.
And then you're saying append this. This will work, right? This has to work. Can you tell me why you feel this
will work?
This is not going to work?
No, this is not going to work, sir.
Sir, I tried it in some problem and I had some issues doing this. So.
Oh, okay. So let's try this. I just want to see. Maybe I am missing something here. Let's print this and see what happens. What do we get? So we are getting. Yeah, let's comment this and just append ELEM. That should give us a string. Should give us a list of strings. See, this works, right? So see, what you might have done is you might have forgotten to update ELEM after converting it to an integer. That could have happened, but otherwise this should work.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this is what, so maybe you can share that extra exact code and then we can look at it. Yeah, right. So now we have converted all the elements of the list into integers. So now let's take up a maximum value. Okay, so what is the nature of the inputs?
So we'll assume the first value as max, and then we can proceed.
Yeah, right. So that is the correct one. I'm going to do something wrong here, and let's see what happens. Right. So for say element in L underscore ins, which is my latest list, if the element exceeds the maximum value, then I have to update the maximum value with this element. This will keep going on, and finally I have to print the maximum value. Okay, so yeah, so why this? I am saying that this is not going to work. Can someone give me a?
Because we have not initialized Maxwell as correctly. So
Okay.
you have initialized it as 0. It should be L of 0, right?
Yeah, but can you give me a test case where this code will not work?
Achha, okay.
Can someone give me a list?
So if you put all
Yes,
negative
Yeah.
elements,
Yes.
then probably it won't work.
Okay.
So we'll
Right.
give 0 as the max.
Right. So if you have all negative numbers, then this won't work, as it was rightly pointed out. So what we have to do, so if you remember in CT, we always used to do this
-1
equal to 0 and to find the maximum, because most of our questions were about say course data set or something like that, where
we put the max value to -1 in CT.
okay, yeah, so yeah, sometimes -1, but sometimes it was even 0. When we were
But most of the times
course
it was
data set.
-1.
So the reason we did that was we were dealing with marks, right? So when you deal with marks, then marks cannot be negative. So max value equal to 0 is a sensible thing to do. But in general, it's always best to initialize it to the first element in the list, or any element for that matter. It need not be the first. Right, so let's okay. It says 0 test cases passed. Why is that? Let's go back.
Sir, our element is an integer value, and Maxwell is a string. So that is why we have to convert Maxwell to string to integer.
Yeah, sorry, this was L-ins, so I forgot that. Okay, so that was the mistake. Right. So does anyone have any questions here?
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
Here, sir, you are writing this for loop like for element in L. It is almost like you are able to write this since all the element in the list are string. That is why you are able to write this type of for loop.
No, right. So see, for example, here, see, any list you can use this particular method.
Could be considered as a generic one.
Yeah, it is not, because the elements of L are strings. Here, if you notice, L-ins, the elements are integers, right?
Okay.
Okay, so
this is another form of generally, sir, when we browse through the string, we generally use that for i's range of either length or c in that particular that fashion.
Yeah, so that is not wrong, but if that is not needed, right? So here I don't need the index. So in such cases, I just ignore it. So before we escape this out of this question, I would just like to write the shorter way of doing it. Again, not advisable, but just to let you know that this can be done. So for element in input dot split of comma, so I'm splitting the input by comma, and I'm taking up each element in the list that gets generated in the process. I am going to append the integer converted element, right? So the type element that is converted into an integer. All right. In fact, I could, is there any way I can make it simpler? Maybe not. Okay, so that's one iteration. I have my list in place. Now the rest of the code is the same. So cell of 0 for element in L. If the element exceeds Maxwell, then Maxwell becomes the element, and then we can.
Excuse me, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
One thing, sir, I am asking is that I think it can be done in a single loop, right? Because we are, after all, concerned only about the maximum value. So what we could do is in the first loop itself, we can check if the element, the converted element, the integer, the element converted to integer is actually greater than the maximum value in the loop itself, the first loop itself.
Yeah, agreed. We could do that, but
yeah,
see, there we would have to do. Say we should have to know. In fact, in that case, we don't even need a list, I would say.
yeah.
Yeah, but see, how would I do that without having an extra? I would have to have an extra conditional statement or something like that, right?
No, sir. We would just compare it with the integer part of L of I.
Okay, but see, so okay, I will remove this. Can you tell me what you would do here? You're saying with L of 0, right? Okay, that will.
Meaning without lines 3 and 4, without individually converting and appending it into a new list, just compare each element by converting to an integer.
Right, but from where will you get so with what will you compare? You need some initial
int of L of.
For that, we will, in the first line, we will accept the input as n.
Okay, we'll accept the input. Let's say some numbers is input of. Okay.
Then we will split that into comma as per our given condition. L is equal to n dot split comma, and then we will set max as length of 0. L
Max
of 0.
is int of L of 0.
Yeah, int of
Right,
L of 0.
Yeah, got it. So okay, right, yeah. So this will work, yeah. And then we can go ahead and but see here the whole point is then this loop becomes redundant, right? So
we'll have to use
we don't use 4 and 5.
But instead we'll have to still use a for loop, right? So your point is we don't need to do it using 2 loops is what you're saying.
Yeah,
I think
we can use only one loop, sir.
Yes,
for or while, any of the.
So the second,
and in that we will include a conditional statement.
The second line you put.
Yeah, the second line I think can be, input dot split can be replaced with nums. Is it?
Yeah, sorry. So this is what I meant, nums. Yeah, so this I get. So this what you're now saying is we can just go over
for I in range of length of L.
Yeah, so we could compare it with
if
Maxwell, right?
Of L of I.
If L of I,
int
right?
of Maxwell is less than equal to int of L of I.
Greater than max.
Yeah, got it. So this will also work. So you're saying why do we need to loop twice?
Correct.
Yeah, yes.
Right. So that is valid.
Can you run this code, sir?
Yeah.
So we'll need to increment I,
right? It's a for loop, right? So L is not defined. Sorry, this is nums. Or we'll change this to L. Okay. Yeah, this Any questions? Vivek, you had some question with this?
No, sir, it's fine.
Right. So this is valid, right? So you could just do the whole thing in one loop, one iteration rather, and then close it.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Any questions? Anyone?
So, sir, in this we are taking an integer from the list and we are checking it with the max value. If that integer is greater than the max value, we are just assigning max value to that integer value, right? And we have initialized max value to int of L of 0 for the first element.
Yeah, it is the usual maximum, getting the maximum from a sequence, right? So
okay,
that
so
is
sir,
the
so sir, for each time we have to do this. I mean L of 0 is, it is a value for which we have to initialize max value. Do we have to write only L of 0, or can we write instead of that something else?
You could, but it is dangerous to do anything other than L of 0 because you don't know the length of the list, right? So I think the question says non-empty sequence. It doesn't. So even that probably that qualification should be there, but it is anything else you can't assume. Say L of 3 or L of 4, you can't assume.
Okay.
The sequence will at least have one element. That much we can always assume. We are always guaranteed to have a non-empty sequence of length 1, at least one. So that you could either do this or you could do L of -1, which will also work.
Which should work.
Okay, if there are no questions, we are going to move on.
So just a general doubt for the split method.
Yeah.
The split method works only if our input value is a comma separated, right? So, or else it is just a useless one. Because if we input 1, 2, 3, then only this would convert that all the elements in. Yeah.
Okay. So there are the split is a very useful method, powerful method. So say it is, I have something like this: 1 ***, 2 ***, 3 ***, 4 ***, 5. Okay. Now I can also split word based on these 2 stars. Okay, so if I split it this way, then it will give me. So see that this is what it gives me. Okay, if it is not clear, then so it has split the string based on double star, and it returns the entries in between.
Integer value.
Not integer exactly. Whatever is remaining.
The values before and after that mentioned string.
Yeah. Okay. So this split.
Because I tried using a space, 1 space, 2 space, 3, and then I split. I use this function word dot split in the quotes comma. It was null. So that is where I got it now. So thank you.
Right. So this is usually called a delimiter. Whatever you are splitting by is called a delimiter.
Delimiter.
And it has to be something meaningful as far as
we are inputting.
Yeah. It should be in line with the input.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir.
Yeah.
I have one question, but that is completely off topic. So I'm not on these questions. So probably after this session, maybe at the end of the session, maybe you can take up that question. But keep some time for me. Like my question is about flag equal to true, flag equal to false. We assign it, right? And the indentation of that flag, I'm getting a bit confused. So in week 4, we have birthday paradox video. That code I completely understood. Only that flag part probably just I'm getting a little bit confused. So maybe whenever, probably at the end of the session, maybe you can take
Okay, so mostly the need to use flag will arise in one of these problems. So at that time, just remind me, we will discuss it.
Yeah, sure, sir. No problem.
So PPA, this is what? PPA 3, okay. We are going to PPA 4. Prefix code. So prefix code, this is very important because must understand this whole business of prefix code. So See, this is some piece of code that is already given to you and it stays put, right? So that nothing that you can do is going to remove it. So it's like, sorry, it's like fixed to the editor window and you can't delete it. But it's a part of the code that you write and it will go before whatever you write.
This is already given.
Yeah, this is already given.
Okay.
And now, yes, you already have this splitting job done for you. Bring the longest word in the list, and if there are multiple words, print the one which appears at the rightmost end of the list. Okay, so what do we have to find? We have to find longest word rightmost. Okay, so
rightmost means
which, yeah, if there are multiple words, then having the same maximum length, then whichever occurs at the right end of the list, you have to pick that up.
Okay.
So for this, do you prefer if we first reverse the string and then check, or we check for I in range of length and we go downwards in the length?
Yeah, so that is an option, but I would, so there is a way to do it without having to reverse the list.
So what I think that this is similar to the previous question. Just in previous question, we were printing the maximum value, but here we have to print that word with a change in a conditional statement.
Yeah,
only
exactly.
Single change in a condition.
Yeah. So we'll do that now. So let's again start with, so the moment we say longest word, we not only are looking at the length of the word, but we're also looking at the size of the word, right? Or how long, the exact word also. So let's say max length is one variable which will denote the size, and max word will refer to the actual word. Okay, so let's say that this max word is L of 0. The length of the max word is this. Okay, so now we are going to loop through each word in the list L. Okay, and the length of this word is this. Right? If my word length happens to exceed max length, then I have found a new word which is longer than the existing word, right? So what do? I just update max word to be word and max length to be word length, right? So maybe there are too many variables, right? Let's ignore this. Let's unnecessarily, we should not just say length of word. That is much simpler.
Instead of taking that max length variable, you can
we can do length of L of 0. So yeah, that also will work, but max length we need, right? Anyway, so we need one more variable to hold the maximum length, right? So this will be what? Length of word. Okay, there is some mistake here which you can all point out later. Now I'm going to go ahead and print max word. So will this code work or not?
No, because we haven't.
It will not pass the second condition of our code.
Okay, so what change should I make?
Greater than equal to.
Okay, so that's the change and this will work. So has everyone followed so far?
Why you put that greater than equal to?
Yeah, so I think there is a test case which DHIS is what, maximum or minimum? This is maximum, right? So longest word. So
sentence is the longest word in the first case.
Yeah, the second test case will fail. So let's try this. Okay, so this is a good word. The expected output is word, but I'm getting this as the output.
Yeah.
Okay, so spend little time on this because it is important. So the input is this, the expected output is word, but the actual output that we are getting is this.
Yes.
If we use greater than. Is that clear now?
Yeah, so because there are three words with four word length. This, good, and word. So which one to consider in that case?
Okay, but why this greater than? Why does this not work? Like, I mean, this is the way to. This is the code for finding maximum, right?
Yeah, but suppose
But
two
it
words
keeps
have
track of the
equal length,
first
then
word.
then it will not. If two words have equal length, then it will not print
Then
the
only the word which
maximum word.
appears first would be considered as maximum. Whereas we have to consider the word which is recent word seen, which is a maximum.
Right. Okay, so that's the correct explanation. So this keeps track of the first occurrence of the maximum or the longest word. So that will not do because the problem statement explicitly asks us to find the rightmost occurrence of the longest word. So this equality comes in because of that, and then this will change to this. So others who are on the call, please let me know if this is not clear because we can spend some time on this.
This can we do it in the previous method without making a list or anything? And
previous method without taking a list, huh?
Yeah, you just straight away take max word as L 0 with the index 0, and then you don't have to declare this.
Yeah, can you tell me which can be removed here?
Yes, sir. I was saying that line number 9 could be removed.
Okay, and replaced with what?
And in the for loop, we can replace.
The L is already given. That's why.
If length of
max
word,
length as length of max word directly.
14 line. Remove 9th line, and in that 14th line you can.
Right. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that will certainly work. But
two lines would be reduced. As
yeah,
in the number of lines.
Right. Yeah. So this is we have to maintain this balance between reducing the number of lines of code and your code remaining readable. So this is a fair point. I agree, but I would still prefer to write it this way because there are there are two things that are happening, right? So when I say max length, I immediately associate it with maximum length. So when I say length of max word, I need the cognitive load increases, right? So what I mean by that is I need to go two steps. Okay, first I need to do this computation of length of max word and then understand that, oh, okay, this actually is comparing the length of two words, right? So it can become confusing, but I give this to you. We can do that as well. So you're saying this?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, fair. This is fair enough. So max word is the first word. If the length of word exceeds the length of the max word, then
max word is L of
becomes
word.
Max
word should be
max
L
word
of
will
word.
be lit. It will be word.
Max word is word, right? Because word is the
L of word.
L. Yeah. Okay. So this is yeah. On second thoughts, maybe this is slightly cleaner than the previous one because you are using length in both cases. Yeah, but one general piece of my at least opinion, I would say, I wouldn't even say advice or suggestion, is to optimize. Optimization is a good thing, but to not optimize too early. So there is this I don't know if you have read this, but there is this quote which says that premature optimization is the root of all evil. So this was quoted by a computer scientist called Donald Knuth. Okay, he's in some sense the father of algorithmic or analysis of algorithms, which you will learn in the next course. Right. So what he stated this in a different context, but what this essentially means is that you must not optimize too early. Right. So the whole optimization business should kick in once you are like really sure what you're optimizing for. But yeah, this is correct. Yeah, this I totally agree that this does make your code more readable in this case. Okay, so we'll just make sure that it runs. Okay, does anyone have any questions here, or shall we move on to the next one? Okay.
Yeah, we can move, sir.
Yeah, so accept as space separated. Okay, convert them to the greatest integer less than or equal to it.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So actually on 7 p.m. I have a meeting for, we have been allotted different houses. So for that, I have a meeting on 7. So can I leave?
Yeah, please.
I mean, no, I have still 10 minutes left. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you can just like you are free to drop off anytime.
Yes.
You can watch it on YouTube later.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, space separated sequence as input. Okay, this may be slightly boring. So retest. We need to find the GIF, right? The floor of this number, and then comma separated as output. The interesting part here is printing, right? The input is kind of trivial. Okay, so let's just go ahead and accept the space separated sequence. So generally in exam, we'll give this. So if there is a space, we'll mention this. There is a space between the quotes. So in case for the 10th of October exam, sometimes you might be wondering if there is a space or not. We have mentioned this, so this should make it clear. Okay, so we have accepted the sequence and converted it into a list. Okay, so now I'm just going to write the longer code here. For each element in the input sequence, you are going to first convert this into a float value, and you're going to append that value to the list L. Okay, so for
convert that to an integer.
Yeah, so if you do that, yeah, you could finish it there itself. But let's say we'll come to that as the more efficient solution, right? So just to introduce this also. Okay, so I'll write a wrong solution first. Okay, can someone tell me why this is wrong? So okay, so will this work?
No, so it won't.
Okay, can you tell me why that is the case?
Yeah, because we're not flooring, we're just ignoring the decimal part. That's not what we're supposed to do in the question. So what we have to do is we have to increment it to the next nearest integer if it is close to that, or round down if
the question doesn't say that actually.
No, right? The question is about greatest integer less than or equal to it, and this will work, right? I mean that, so int of element will work, right? So
like in the 3.9 example should be 4, not 3. So if you convert directly into integer, it will be 3, not 4. Should be 4.
Question asks 3.
Should be 3. So we are asking greatest integer less than or equal to 3.9, which is 3.
Okay, less than. Okay, got it.
Floor value.
Okay, but this will still not work for a different reason. So can someone tell me why this won't work?
If the element is a negative number,
Though, okay, so that we have taken care of, right? So the question takes care of it because it's all positive real numbers. But the question, so, but I'm still saying that this won't work. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish it and let's print it. We have to, so I will just separate this into 3 parts. Accept, input, and populate the list. This is that part. Here we are supposed to convert each element into its, okay, just say find the floor of each element. And then the final part is print the sequence. Okay, so for in range of length of L, if I is not equal to, or if I is equal to the last element, which is length of L minus 1, then I just print that element. Okay, if not, I print L of I should be comma separated, right? So I just add 1 comma. Okay, maybe it is too fast. Let's just run this and see what happens. Oops.
So this problem.
Yeah.
This issue will create a big problem in exam.
Yeah. Thankfully, I think I copied my code, so the whole thing is there. Okay, see, this is what I did. This is the output I get. I am getting the same. I'm getting the input itself as the output. Okay, so let me just go back. Now we can analyze the code in greater detail. This is the input I need. So this is the input I have. This is the output I get. Rather, this is the actual output I get. Whereas the expected output should be 1 comma 1 comma 3 comma 4 comma 10. Okay, so now we should debug this code. So can someone tell me where we have gone wrong?
The list, I think, sir, is not updated. The list. So that's why, I mean, we are looping over the list, but not actually updating it.
Okay, so which line is problematic?
Line 13, I guess.
Okay, you are right. So what should I change here?
I think we should append, or perhaps we can get the index of the element and then replace that somehow.
Okay, that is a fair point. I will do that change. But others, do the others see what is wrong here?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
we cannot really do float of 10. Like
float of, no, see, the issue is not with the floor computation, right? The issue is more with the elements of the list not being updated, not pointed out.
So
okay.
instead of for element of in of L, if you can change that for loop to for I in length of means range I in the range of length of L, and you change L of I is equal to int of L of I.
Exactly.
Like that.
Yeah, so that is the correct solution. And so
then every element gets changes in the list and get updated also.
Yeah, so this particular line, you must exercise caution here. You are not updating the list here. Okay, that's the takeaway from these 2 lines. You are not updating the list at all. You are just taking one element from the list and just converting it into an integer, but the actual element inside the list is not changed anywhere. Okay, is this
so shall we do element equals to L plus L of int of element?
That also will not work, right? So see, unless you are,
So after changing to integer again, we have to append into a new list.
yeah, you could do that. You could either do that, or you have to actually go to that particular index and change the element at that index.
One other point I have is that I expect the inputs to already be in the float format. And what if we loop over the input and directly append the integer value of the element? I mean, like in the line number 9. Line number 9, you are doing float of element. If at that very point we do integer of element, I think we get the result itself.
Yeah, correct. So that was already pointed in the beginning by Ala, I think. So she already pointed it out, and at that time, I deliberately ignored it because I could come to all these things.
Okay.
Right. So that is, yeah, we could do.
I was just making sure that perhaps we can do it that way also.
Yeah. So that is the correct solution, but this is just to have this to explore.
I get that. Actually, that will be too trivial, so to speak.
Yeah.
But in that case, we'll have to put both int and bracket float of element, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So we'll come to that in just 1 minute. So this particular point, does anyone have a problem? Right. So you are not modifying the list at all here. You are only modifying the loop variable.
It's clear, sir.
Okay. So let's now go to the correct solution, which was pointed out earlier, which is just as simple as this. So let's try it out. Okay, so that's the correct solution.
Do we need to do the float also, sir? I think if it's just
we can input as float.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
No. I don't think it is not needed.
No, we need. Otherwise, it will.
We need, yeah.
Throw an error.
Just try without, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll try this out. So as many of you have pointed out, let's try it. Let's see why this won't do. Okay, submit maybe won't show us why it doesn't work. We'll do a test run.
Because you can't do int of a string which is a float.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Correct.
Right. So you can't do convert
directly from string to integer. Okay, got that.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's a good point, but we needed to again explore that. So this is int of float of. Yeah. So any questions in this particular? So this
so
will.
Can you please repeat this point?
Sir, I have a question.
So there were two of you. One is Shahid, another person I didn't see your name.
So can you please repeat this point? Line number 9.
Yeah, see, okay, this maybe again, see, that's why it's better to write it as, see, first I convert it to float, right? So I accept it as a real number. Okay, and then I get the integer part of the real number by saying int of real number.
So why we are converting it into float?
Okay, so that you just saw, right? So if you try to convert, say 1.2 directly to integer, you will get what is called a value error, because Python cannot convert a string of this form directly into an integer. It can only convert this into a float value.
This means we are converting a string into float first.
Yeah, so that's why we need to convert a string into a float and then float into int.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. The same question I was asking.
Okay, right. So, yeah, where were we? Yeah, that's it, right? So you can then append the integer part of the real number, which will give us the same answer. Okay, so anyone has any questions, or shall we move on to 6? Okay, reverse the sequence. This is 6, right? So, okay, now maybe I will write this code entirely using your inputs. Someone can start, accept a sequence of comma separated words. and you have to reverse the sequence. Okay. Okay, so how should I start?
So there are actually 2 to 3 ways you can do this.
Okay.
So one of them is using slicing.
Okay.
Where sir, can I just tell the thing from the first line? L is equal to input dots.
Okay, you accept the input dot.
Split in single quotes a comma.
Okay, you split based by comma. Okay, then.
And reverse is equal to.
Okay.
L of.
Okay, if you're going to use double colon, then is that what you're going to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay.
And
so
-1.
Yeah, right. So I understand. I get your solution, but in the interest of that's
Okay, so there's another method. Reverse is equal to initialize it to an empty list.
Okay.
For item in L.
Okay, for item in L.
Reverse is equal to item in square brackets.
Okay.
Plus reverse.
Okay. All right. So we have reversed now. Okay,
Print
now
reverse.
Okay.
There's another one, sir. For I in range.
Okay, for I in range.
Length of L -1, comma 0, comma -1. Print L of I, comma end equal to, comma.
Okay.
Then print L of 0.
Nice. Okay. There are 2 solutions, 3 in fact, but the first one, let us, for the time being, ignore. We'll take up. So what is for bulk commenting, what should I do? Control
backslash.
Control backslash. Control
forward
so this line number 8, shouldn't it be length -1, comma -1, and then minus?
No, actually it is. So it has been done for a reason. We'll get to that, right? So we'll get to that part. We'll first take solution 1. Solution 1 is this. Okay, so does anyone have any doubts here? Why this works? Why this actually gives us the reverse? I hope not. Okay, so if there is anyone having any doubt, please stop me here.
Sir, if we add item without square bracket,
you're asking will it work or not?
Yeah.
Will it work? You tell me, what do you think?
I think it will work.
No.
Okay, so before running it, what is reverse? What is the type of reverse?
A list.
It's a list, right? So reverse is a list. What is item? What is the type of item?
And what we say, element?
Yeah, item is some element. Is it an integer? Is it a string? Is it a float value? Is it another list?
It is string, right?
String.
Because we are inputting only input.
Yeah, string.
Right. So item is a string. So you are trying to add a string and a list together. Okay, which is not permitted by Python. So if you try to execute this, Python will give you a very meaningful error message. Okay. It says type error must be str not list. Okay, so it's saying that this item is a string. So this reverse should also be a string because you're trying to add a string with something else, and this something can only be a string and not another, not a list. Okay. So if you extend that argument, you are trying to add a list to another list. So that is why you need this square brackets. You can only add 2 lists.
We use append method to add it at the end of the list. Is
Correct?
there any method for starting for the initial position?
Yeah, there is, but there's a method called insert, but let's not go there. No, like I would say that makes our lives easy, and sometimes it should not be easy.
Okay.
Okay, so this is so this is what is called a list concatenation. We are concatenating two lists. So initially reverse is empty, and then you keep adding elements to the left of it or to the beginning of the list. That's why it reverses the input list. Okay, so now how is there any way to preserve the indentation when you comment? Does anyone know a method to do that?
By using those three apostrophes.
Okay, that is the only way. Huh? I mean, like there is no.
So we can select those phrases and control backslash.
Okay, control backslash. Does it preserve the indentation?
Yeah.
Is it okay? How do I get out of the comment?
Same thing.
Again, control backslash.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay. Okay, so let's print this for I in range of length of L. So I prefer this printing method because I'm very used to it. If I is equal to, if it is not equal to the last element in the list, then you are somewhere in the middle of the list. So print L of I along with the comma or with the comma at the end. If you are at the end of the list, then just print L of I. Okay, so this is.
So rather than that, we can as well write for I in reverse of.
Once again, I will come to your question. Why are we not getting the correct answer?
Should we put end in line 30? End with a space or something?
In line 13, right? So no, I think because here I just want to print L of I and without
But
a comma.
it should be in the same the line. So it will be without a comma, but end equal to space or something.
It shouldn't be needed. So let's
Okay.
once again.
Isn't it should be a reverse of I and not
right. We are printing the original list. Thank you. That is the correct. Should all be reverse.
Sir, here, sir, I have just one point to say.
Yeah.
Sir, you actually, many a time, actually, you pointed out in my coding, you always use the variable name for your own understanding purpose, because I used to use many X, Y, Z and in between that you have pointed out and helped me a lot for this coding purpose. But this variable name itself, when we are writing a long code, then every time writing this reverse or long name, it's a difficult, because inside that, if it is X, Y, Z or ABC, it will be very easy, sir.
Yeah, got it. So maybe for exams, you can follow that shorter variable names, so that would be a good approach there. But in general, right, when you write code for say a big project, there it is always better to stick to meaningful variable names. Okay, so let's just finish this. So any doubts here? So this could also be done without having this else part, if else part.
So I didn't get it what you are doing in the line.
Which line? Hello? Which line?
I think his network got lost.
Okay. Yeah, so let's quickly come to this other solution.
I have a question. So in the line number 9, so why we are using range length of reverse when we can directly use for I in reverse because all the elements are already in reverse, right?
Sorry, I didn't get the question.
So like in reverse list, all the elements which were in L are in reversed order, right?
Correct, correct.
So in line number 9, we can directly use for I in reverse. And then
reverse is a list, right? And we
but
need
it will
a
iterate through
parameter
the
as
list.
number
No?
for the range.
Reverse of put square brackets, put 1 colon and write -1.
Sorry, I didn't get
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question. So,
I mean, what I'm saying is we can't be used for I in reverse because eventually it is going to iterate through the list only.
correct. So for I in reverse, you're saying why use range of length of all
Range
that?
of length of
Okay,
for I
okay.
in reverse then.
But I need to know when I'm. So I don't. Yeah. So I need to know when to print the comma, right?
Okay, so just to omit the last comma, you are doing all this thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I think Anna has pointed out something. Yeah. So that I am doing all this just to omit the last word. So
okay.
Yeah. So this has been proposed. This is also fine. Yeah, this also works. Right. So this is also fine.
Because we are going only till -1, right? The last element.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
that reason, the comma is not repeated in the last part.
Yeah. So yes, Allah, so your point is valid. So this is fine. Okay, so we are done with that solution. We will come to the second solution, which is this one. So this starts with starts with the last element and loops all the way till the 0th element and prints the element one at a time. Right? Any questions with this solution? This is solution 2. Okay, I hope there aren't any. So in which case we have 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Accept a square matrix and store it in a variable named matrix. Okay, so we just need to accept the matrix and then print it. So let's very quickly do this. So as you have seen, this is suffix code. You have to write everything above the suffix code. So we first accept the input. See, I'll just quickly do this and then maybe we are running out of time for the other problems. So yeah, so what is the
Sir, I've done this code in 2 ways, so I could share the screen.
Yeah, okay. That's also fine. Maybe I will present this solution later. Yeah, you can share now.
Sir, can you see?
Yeah. Can you increase the font size a bit?
Okay, so there are 2 methods. I think this was the one you were trying. So
yeah. Okay, yeah, this can can you just go over it line by line so that like for the benefit of others?
Can I just check the question for a second?
Yeah.
First, I'm accepting the number of rows of input, and then I'm initializing a matrix. Note that this is like the outer list, which contains many inner lists. So I set I to 0, and while I is less than the number of rows, I take the input for the first row and I remove all the spaces. Now I create a new list having all these integers, and I've used int of item because I want to convert them to integer from string format. And now I'm appending each of these rows to a matrix, and then I'm incrementing I, so I can take the row for the next input. There's another way to do this, which is given above. This is without using I. I'm just decrementing n itself each time.
Yeah, this is fair enough. Yeah, so this is good. So does anyone have any doubt here? You can ask with either of these solutions. Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
So, sir, which is the better method?
I think both are fine. So in the first one you had, can you just show it again? So in the first one you are accepting the input, splitting it, and then you are. But the main difference, the way the loop variable operates, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've created a new list here.
Okay. So there you have just edited, or rather modified the contents of row. Yeah. So I wouldn't say that both are too different. So this consideration of space and all, we'll take it up in next course. That is when this creating two lists would increase the space, and all that will become important only in the next course. So both are fine, I would say.
Okay, sir.
Right. So does anyone have any solutions? Do you want to spend any more time on this question, or can we move to the next one?
It's clear, sir.
Okay, then we'll move to PPA 8. So an identity matrix is this. You have to create an n by n identity matrix. Okay. Again, let's try to quickly go over this. So n is integer. So mat is the matrix. Okay, so there are two parts. So one is creating the identity matrix, and the second is printing it. So you could do both simultaneously in the same loop, but this is better. It kind of divides your code neatly into two parts. Okay, I think we are supposed to print the matrix, right? Yeah, each line is sequence of n comma separated integers that corresponds to one row of the matrix. So creating a matrix is going to be simple. You go through for I in range of n, you create a new row for j in range of n. Right? If I is doubly equal to j, that means you are at a diagonal. You are at one of the diagonal elements. You have to append 1. If not, you append 0.
Sir,
okay. And
sir, I have a doubt with respect to line 10.
Line 10, okay.
Sir, why can't we write something like m of ij equal to 1?
M of ij. But you don't have the matrix at all, right, in the first place? Yeah, so I'll come to your question. We'll just make sure that it works. We have a working solution, and then we'll address that. Okay, so again, if you are not at the last element, you're going to print the matrix with a comma. If you are at the last element, then just print the. Then you could follow a different approach, but let's first see if this works, because I don't want to reason with the wrong code. So this works. Now let's take questions. So yeah, you had a question.
Sir, previously when we were trying to access certain elements, we used this matrix of ij. So my question was not with respect to whatever output is given here, but in order to get an identity matrix, can't we write that as m of that ij will be equal to 1?
Yeah, but where is m? Where do you have m here?
We can create an empty matrix and then do it, I guess.
Yeah, that will work, right? So you could divide this into 3 steps, 3-stage problem, which would be then creating the zero matrix, which would be I don't want to repeat this. So let's say which would be just this. Then we could just go ahead and this would become 1 and the rest would not matter. So is this what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this is correct. So you could do it, you could have a 3-stage approach where you create the zero matrix, but if you don't have the matrix in the first place, then you can't do this, right? Or you could write your code in such a way that you have it. Yeah, but at least for whatever approach I have followed, if you want to access the ijth element of the matrix, you need to have the matrix in place, right? But if you have any other approach, you can tell me. We could have other approaches also.
No, sir, I don't have any.
I think, sir, for her entering the matrix ij and taking that input, it is possible when she will append initially a null matrix and then start writing this ij.
Yeah, right. Great. So, okay, so I just want to stop here because stop in the sense pause here and ask the others who are on the call. Is there any question? Because these ideas will keep repeating till the 12th week. In every question, every exam and every assignment, you'll have at least one of these questions where you'll have to print with the command D after every element and not have a command D.
So I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
So on the internet, there's a shorter way of doing this comma thing. So can we use that, or should we use this?
You could. So for example, so what is the shorter way?
Sir, so if you have created the matrix, so you just put a loop for, say, element in matrix.
Okay.
Print star element, comma sep equal to with the comma.
Okay, got it. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So you could do that, but from the point of view of...
Yeah, I prefer, I mean, this is it's better for learning to do it this way.
Exactly, yeah, but there's no harm in doing that. So that is called, I think, sequence. You unpack that whole list and then between any 2 elements, you add the separator. So that's...
Yeah, I didn't understand it was there because we haven't learned it. But it was just a one-liner, so I thought it was a good code.
Yeah. So in fact, I shouldn't do this, but if you there is something. So,
Sir, actually, I have done this last line, this printing part, in a different way. Can you? Shall I share, sir?
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
I
yeah.
have some.
Yeah.
Sir, I did in this way, sir. But I find your approach is good. Means I used to do in this fashion to eliminate this printing part, last line, comma. But your approach is good.
Yeah, but no, so yours is also yours is also fine. Only thing that as I mentioned in the forum, right? You don't need 14 and 15. If you can just use 14 and remove the end, it will work. So your approach is also fine. But from now on, right, don't have 14 and 15. Just have 14, but remove end equal to empty string.
Okay.
Okay.
This part I can remove, right?
Yeah,
Even
that you
that
should.
end equal to empty. Even I've been doing the same thing, Shaman. But I
Oh.
guess today sir taught us that we don't need that end equal to empty string.
Yeah, so but that end equal to you remove in line 14. And the 15th line also.
This also worked, right?
Yeah, this should work.
Okay.
Okay, so in fact, so see, there's no point telling all this and not showing why that's the case. So you are done with this?
Yeah, I stopped.
Yeah. So see the reason this works is it has to do with the way print statement works. Say, for example, I want to print okay, let's see what happens if we do print 1 and print 2, right? So if we test run this, you get 1, 2, right? Which is expected because you don't have a new line after this. Now, if you replace this with /n, what it will do is it will give you this. So it prints 1 and then on the next line it prints 2. Okay, now if I remove this /n or if I remove the whole end argument,
by default 1.
yeah, right. So the reason this works is by default the end argument has /n. Okay, and by giving say a comma or a space or whatever or an empty string, you are overriding that behavior.
Okay.
Okay, that's why I was saying don't do print 1 and then add another print here, which is it is as good as not having this end argument at all and having print of 1 alone.
Okay, got it.
Okay. All right. So.
Sir, I have one question. When we take the input, can you explain the part? For example, input dot split. So with the example, when we in a single quote, when we have the space, what is the meaning of it? In single quote, when we have some space, what is the meaning of it while taking the input?
It means you are splitting based on space. So, for example, if you have 1 space, 2 space, 3, and you split this based on space, then it will give you this output.
So this split function is always take us to the list.
Yeah, it will always return a list. Okay, so any other questions or shall we move on?
Can move on, sir.
Yeah. So let's.
So this then we can see the list. If it takes automatically list, then we can for say a string. If we want to do some manipulation on the string, we can always create a split it and create a list, and then it'll be easier to do the find a certain item or select a certain item.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So 9, 10, 11. Okay. 9. You have to S into A. Okay. Matrix. We have to just multiply it by a. Interestingly, I have the code. I don't know how, but yeah. Okay, so this was done. Yeah, this was done some time back. So let me just quickly run over this. You are in populating the matrix A. You create an empty list, and then this I have done it slightly differently. I think some student posted this on Discourse, and then I just worked on top of it. So can anyone? So can you folks see this and tell me if you have any doubts here? So again, this is another way of accepting the matrix.
So can you do it using the previous method?
Yeah, that should also work. You want me to do it using previous method, or you are asking whether you can do it?
Yes, sir. I want you to do it.
Okay. Previous method as in using empty
Sir,
row.
I'm requesting if you can do it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we will. So what we can do here is.
Yes, sir. Like initially.
Initially, you have. Okay, you can just create an empty list that will stand for the first row. And then what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to.
You'll have to put the input in the inner loops because it can accept any.
Yeah, you have to get the input, right? So that should be the row. Okay, so maybe I'll end up doing the same thing again. But let's see. For j in a range of n, row of j, probably I'm writing the same code that I just deleted, but yeah, anyway. Now you accept the scalar or the number s. Okay, and now you multiply a with s, which is for I in range of n, for j in range of n. A of ij is just equal to a of ij into the scalar s, and then we print a, which is for j range of n, and if j is not equal to the last element, you are going to print a of ij the comma. If not, you can just print a of ij. Okay, so is that fine now? But again, I have rewritten the.
We have not created a matrix, right? There's a list only.
Yeah. Point. Okay, so I have appended the row now. Okay, you have to print space separate. So this should be a space. Okay. Okay, so any questions here?
Sir, I wanted to know if we can take a zero matrix and add those individual elements to it.
Yes, that is perfectly fine. So you could do that. You could create a zero matrix here, maybe. And then assuming that, say, let's say you have created here. So zero matrix, A is a zero matrix. Then what would you do? You have to modify this accordingly, right? So you would have to do A of ij is equal to int of row of j, right? Assuming you create the zero matrix here. For j in range of n, A of, so row dot append 0. Yeah, you could do that also. So this should also work. Right? Any questions? Any other questions? Let's just check this. Okay. So others are very silent. Are you all following anything else you would like to add, or? Okay, I hope there's nothing else. Okay. Okay, what I'm not going to do is rewrite whatever we did know. So let's just say that we are copying this whole thing. Okay, so we have to accept A and B, right? So we have accepted N as input. Now we are accepting A. We'll do the same thing for B. So this week I think you will appreciate why functions are important. That is what week 5 is all about. Functions make sure that you don't have to duplicate code like this. Okay, and now you can just go ahead and add A and B. I'm doing this in a very roundabout way, but okay, so far is it clear? So any questions so far?
No, sir.
All right, so what we are doing is we are creating A, we are creating B, and then we are adding it. Now all that we have to do is print. Okay, so this week was so easy, is it?
No, sir.
Okay.
It was very tough.
Okay, no, because usually we used, at least last, but you're all fine with all this, right? So which is a good thing. By tough, what I meant is there are no confusions at this stage, right? After you have gone through all these things.
There are no confusions, but while coding, making many mistakes. It gets, at times I get stuck making the same mistake again and again. And, I have to take a break to get the right answer. No, that is not going to be possible during the exam.
Yeah, but by the time you would have written all this, right? You would have gone through this whole grind, no? So we are missing something. One second, why is this long? Line number 46. Yeah, so but the understanding wise it is clear, right, what this whole thing means?
Yes, sir, understanding is clear.
But sir, I don't think that just purely the video lectures which have been uploaded on the site are enough. I mean, without these live sessions, it wouldn't be anywhere near enough to solve.
Okay, but see, what did I do in this live session? I think you all gave me the answers, and it was I had the feeling that you all already knew most of the content, right? So which means you have solved it, right? You're on your own, which is a good thing.
Sir, this line number 16, A of ij is equal to int of row of j, shouldn't be ij?
Yeah, line number 16 is the mistake. That is what it told. What is the mistake? Can you tell me again?
Sir, row of j only you written in line number 16. Int of row of j you have written. You should write ij, na?
Row is only one row of the matrix. No, I think this issue is the comma. I think comma separated it should be, no? Okay.
Oh.
Right, issue is probably with that.
Right.
Okay. So that should be it. Okay, so any questions here? Because this again is accepting two matrices and doing stuff with it is something we all need to know. So any doubts here? Okay, if there are no doubts, I'll just show you one thing. This actually comes in next week, the week that we just released, but it is not very tough. So you all will follow this. Okay. Just showing you how easy this makes your code.
Yes, sir.
You don't need to understand this right away, but in case. Okay, so this, forget the syntax. Just think about this as a mathematical function. If I call zero matrix with some value, it will give me a matrix of zeros, n by n matrix of zeros. Okay, so and then I just need to do this. So I can just replace that entire code with just this one line, right? And wherever b is there, right, I can replace the entire thing with just one line. Okay, so this is just some kind of a precursor for or a prelude to the week 5 content. If you remember procedures in CT, right? So this is very similar to procedures. Only thing is that we call it functions in Python, right? In CT, what we used to do, we used to say procedure, zero matrix, and then we'll do some blah, 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 and then we'll say end procedure, right? This is exactly the same thing, and we call it a function in Python. Okay, anyway, you can forget about this until you see the contents for next week.
So this is basically we are making our own functions.
Yeah, we are making our own functions, yeah.
Other than the functions already predefined by Python.
Exactly, yeah.
So this can be like globally, I mean, how does it work? If you define a function, does it become global? You can use it anywhere.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a print function.
Yeah, it's just like print, right? So you can use it anywhere in your code. For example, if you want to add two numbers, you could use it anywhere. So for example, I can use it to add 1, 2 and call it C, and I can just print C.
But this, suppose I do it on any other machine. Suppose I've made a function on my machine. Some other machine it can't. I mean, Python will not take that. No? It will not make it as a predefined function. So it's just my custom function.
Exactly. Yeah, this is a user-defined function, something that you define.
Okay, right.
right? So yeah, that is coming up in the next week. We probably left out the most important question to the end, but it's okay. Okay, so did anyone try to do it using the inbuilt sort method, and did it fail for you?
Sir, I did it, sir.
It worked with L dot sort, huh?
No, I didn't use this sort method. I actually sorted the stray, means the list, not
Okay.
use the inbuilt function.
Okay, very good. So, but let us just, I just want to demonstrate what happens in case someone has tried.
So I have tried, but there's some problem which is happening because it is saying, you have to go on descending. And when I changed the signs, it was actually ascending. So I had to again change because I put the sign of the descending, which is less than equal. And then I had to change the sign, then it worked. But I didn't understand how it worked.
Okay, maybe you can share your code.
I'll share it.
Yeah, so just one thing I want to demonstrate is if you try to use L dot sort, it will give you this command. More shortcuts are allowed. Okay, but I still encourage you to try it and just take a note of that. Yeah, please share your. Yeah, can you go to use the full screen mode? Yeah, also that full screen mode which is there on the right. Yeah. And little bit if you can zoom in, increase the font size, it will be better. Right, yeah.
So as per me, this should be greater than.
Okay, can you explain your entire code just for the benefit of everyone here?
Yeah, so the output was the sorted list. So I took that as I initiated a variable sorted list.
Okay.
And created a while that if the length of the input is greater than 0,
okay,
while the length of the input is greater than 0, then take maximum as the first element.
Okay.
The first element becomes your maximum.
All right.
And now get into a loop for I in range of the length of the input list. So if the maximum is less than the indexed element of L, then the maximum becomes that indexed element.
Right, right.
And then I appended that to the list sorted.
Okay, this seems correct.
You have called it maximum, but what you're actually referring to is minimum.
But so my confusion is, so we have an, wait, I have to see the question. It was a descending or an ascending list?
Descending order.
Yeah, but this is maximum. What is wrong with the maximum updation? If L of I is.
Sir, it's correct.
Yeah, if L of I exceeds the maximum, maximum is being updated to L of I, right?
Right. Okay.
No.
Okay, I got it. I was getting confused between.
No. See, wait. I am confused now. What is wrong? Can you tell me what is wrong now?
So I was, going by if it is an ascending list, then I should take the minimum value and keep appending it with a value greater than that. So I'll take the first value, not the minimum value. I'll take the first element of the list and keep appending it with the greater value.
Okay, now if you are by the end of this for loop, right? You are getting the maximum element in the list L, right? Or That's what it is, right?
Right.
So the first element that you will append to sorted L is the maximum element in L, right?
Right, sir.
So you are actually sorting it in descending order, right? Or am I missing something?
Now even I'm getting confused. 1 minute, sir.
Yeah. So can you go to the question? What is the question asking?
Question asking, sir, descending order means the first element of the list is the maximum one, and gradually it will down.
Correct. Which is what Wake is doing, right? I thought I don't. Oh, or am I missing something? No. Can you go back to your code? So I just zoom in. Yeah, full screen. And the sorted L is empty. While length of L is greater than 0, you are taking the first element in the list K and keeping that as maximum. Then you are iterating through the list L. If you find something more than the maximum, then that becomes the maximum.
Okay. Sir, I've got actually, if I should have put L of I is greater than maximum, I think I reversed it and it's so I was getting confused there. Yeah, same thing.
No, I am also confused. So
it should have been like this. This should have been here. This.
Okay, what is the difference between?
No, it was not different. I had reversed this, and so I had to reverse the signs also, the inequality sign also. So I was getting confused in that only. But basically, this is the way it should be. It's the same thing.
No, okay. Can you run this now? I just want to know. This has to work, I feel, but you're saying it doesn't work, huh?
No, this works. This works. This works. What I had done was I had reversed these variables and taken the greater to sign. So it wasn't working. So when I switched the sign, it started working. So I got confused.
Okay. So maximum less than L of I also works.
Here. Yeah, I put the L of I here and maximum here, and I put greater to, and it didn't work.
Oh, okay. Oh, right.
Then when I switched the signs, it worked. But so I didn't understand where I was going wrong.
Okay. Great.
But just one more problem I was hoping you could discuss was practice test 3.5.
Okay. Yeah. So if there are no other questions.
Okay.
Yeah. This test 3.5 is what? That is that sorting question. Okay. Yeah, someone actually had given a very short solution on the forum. I don't know who that was. Is that person on the call? I don't know.
Yes, sir, I did.
See, Binoy, huh? Binoy.
Yes.
Okay, this is his solution. In fact, I just tested it and then I didn't delete it. So maybe I will present his solution first. See, what is happening is you have to your A is sorted in ascending order, and so is B. Okay, but both A and B are just strings containing digits. Okay, so what Binoy has done is he has just to start with concatenated both A and B. Okay, that gives the string AB. And now in the sorted output, right, if the output has to be sorted, then all 0 should come first, all 1 should come second, all 2 should come next, right? So on. So what he's doing is he's iterating through each digit in num, and he's finding the number of times that particular digit appears in AB. And that many times he's adding it to out. Okay, that is the elegance of this particular solution. That is how simple it finally looks, but yeah.
So how does it come in the ascending order?
So that's because of the way.
Concatenating.
Yeah, that's because of the way you're looping through num. So.
Okay.
In fact, if you change if you reverse it, right, you can get it in descending order.
Okay. I made a very lengthy code for this, sir. I was wondering, this is a fantastic code.
Yeah, me too. Also take a long code, but it is very, very nice.
Yeah. So Binoy is there here. Huh? It is his solution. So maybe if you want, you can share something, man. How you arrived at this solution?
Me, sir?
No. So Binoy Bishwas, right?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So how you arrived at the solution? If you want, you can share. I mean, I also don't know the backstory.
Actually, sir, I was thinking sorting problem. How to sort I can a list, and then I suddenly come upon I can apply here also that logic. I think because primarily we can concatenate it and then sort one by one, and that's how I got the logic.
Right. Yeah. So this is very good. I mean,
like sir, when I was sir, our Sudarshan sir has told that do not use function like sort. Then I was searching how that sort works, and
right.
then I got the idea.
Right. Very nice. Yeah. So this is the simplest solution I have seen so far, but there is a more complicated or rather the conventional solution is also there for this problem. Maybe I'll just present that also quickly. So the conventional solution is you maintain 2 pointers, say PA and PB. Okay, so you start PA at 0, PB also you start at 0. So N1 is what length of A, N2 is length of B, and you maintain a counter for the final string, right? So you call it 0, while the so you have to append n1 plus n2 characters to the final string, right? So that is our target. So what we do is while n is less than n1 plus n2, keep looping. And in each iteration of the loop, what you should do is you have to check if assuming that you are somewhere in the middle of A and B, is A of PA less than B of PB? If so, what you have to do is you have to add A of PA to out, and then you have to increase the counter. You have to move to the next character in the string A. Else, if A of PA is greater than B of PB, then it means the character at B is smaller, so you do B of PB. Since you have added a character from B, you increase B's counter to 1. Okay, so else if A of PA is equal to PB, then you can add both, right? Out equal to out plus B of PB, and you increment PA, you increment PB. Okay, so far is it clear? This is like the complex solution, but the official solution from our side also. Okay, I'm assuming that you are understood so far.
So the third step.
Yeah.
This third step.
I mean this else if
26. Instead of that, in 18 and 22, if we write less than or greater than, then
yeah, I think that should also work. So let's say
I did that in that way.
Yeah, I think that should also work. But let's just go with this, and we'll come back and make that change. So there is one corner case, which is if we have reached length of A, if P of A is equal to length of A, then we cannot increase the counter, right? We have already exhausted all the characters in A. Therefore, what we do is to the string out, we just add B, whatever is remaining of not B, but so what do we do here? Okay. Okay, I'm getting kind of stuck here. So can anyone pull me out of the difficulty if you understand the logic?
If the one of the length gets exhausted, then you just add the elements of the other list, the other string to this list, to the out list. Just keep adding.
Just keep adding.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then I just keep adding B of PB.
So the way I did it was I took 3 conditions. When the length is equal, then I put all these conditions what you have put if else. Then I took if the length is not equal, if A is greater and if there is some elements left in A after all these loops, because the counter keeps reducing, the point holder keeps reducing, then I took if A is not equal to 0 or sorry, N1 is not equal to 0 and N2 is greater than 0, then I kept adding the elements of N2, and the reverse, if N2 is equal to 0 and N1 is not equal to 0, then keep adding elements of N1.
Yeah, that is, I think, maybe a better approach. So I'll see if I can salvage this. Okay, I'll just see if I can get this working. If not, we'll stick to what you said. So you can see why that solution that Binoy provided was so good, because this is like too complicated. Mostly
very complicated. Very complicated.
Yeah, mostly it won't work. Let's see. Let's anyway try. So in case you don't get this, you must not worry at all, because this is like one of the hardest problems in that we have seen so far. See, string out of range. Super. So where did we get string out of range? We got string out of range in line number 18. So line number 18 is what this. Okay, we are not in. Okay, should not be in. It should be. Probably don't need any at all. I'm sorry for making this more complicated than it is. Okay.
So I can give you one solution which is complicated than Binoy, but lesser complicated than you, sir.
Okay, we'll come to that. So I just explained my complicated solution. which is, this is actually a standard algorithm called as a merge. Okay, so this is to merge two sorted sequences in ascending order. Okay, so what you do is you maintain 2 pointers for the sequences, and so long as you haven't reached the end of both these strings, you keep iterating. So these two initial conditions are to make sure that you have not reached the end of A or the end of B. Okay, that's the point of these two if conditions. The rest are to just increment things appropriately, right? So if the character in the first string is less than a character in the second string, then you add up the whatever character is required. Okay, so I don't know if you all understood this, but if you don't, if you didn't understand,
sir, it's clear because I have worked a little longer than this. I put this if equal to loops outside, but this is a much finer code. I think it's very clear.
Okay. So maybe we can just get rid of one of this. I don't know if this, we can make it even simpler. Yeah, so that condition was not needed. So we can, in the conventional algorithm, right, only these 3 steps are there. You check if you have exhausted the first sequence, you then check if you have exhausted the second sequence, and then you check if the first is less than second or first is greater than second. So these are the 4 steps that you need to do to merge 2 sorted sequences in ascending order.
Correct.
Okay, so I think we have exceeded the time limit.
But sir, I think some lessons in algo should also be taught for us to solve these, because doing by trial and error gets quite frustrating, at times, and then you check where I'm going wrong and correcting the code.
Right.
So these standard algos are taught, that things are thinking become much clearer.
Sir, can you suggest some good material or reference or location from where what Vivek just highlighted? It is very pertinent point. Knowing or strong in algo is basically help in program.
Yeah, so see, next course will do this exhaustively, but you could see there are some NPTEL courses you could do. Professor Madhavan Mukund's NPTEL course is there. Design, and so he has offered 2 courses. One is called PTSA, Programming Data Structures and Algorithms Using Python. Okay, that is Professor Madhavan's course, NPTEL course. The other is Design and Analysis of Algorithms, again another NPTEL course, which takes up from where he left in PTSA and completes it. If you are looking for textbook, right, there are like one very good textbook is by I think Algorithm Design by Papa Dimitro, I think that's his name. There are three authors. So yeah, Eva Tardo. So this book, right? Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So Algorithm Design by Kleinberg and Tardos. This is like a very good book, and as you can see, the PDF is available. I didn't point you out to this. I just typed it in and Google directed. So you should not blame me for copyright violation. But this is a very good book. This is like a classic. This is a very, very interesting book because the depth of explanation that the authors would have given will be like really fantastic. I haven't read this book, but I have read like few sections of it, and it will be like reading a storybook. So the author would have spent so much time explaining even small things. So that is something you could all.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Sir, just a clarification on this practice test 3.5.
Yeah.
So I The same method like Vinay did, the concatenation method.
Okay.
So, sir, will it work if A and B was not sorted?
See, even this whatever method I shared, right, that won't work if it is not sorted. But what Pinoy did, let's okay, where is his code? Let me try to recall what is his code for AB equal to A plus B, and then green. What is this? Out equal to out plus AB dot count of I, right? This is the no, this is this the method? Find the number of times I occurs in AB, and then yeah, one second. I just want to verify if this is the this one, this method. So you are saying, you're asking whether it will work for the case where it is not sorted. So as yes pointed out, I think it should work. Let's try it. No, let's try it for custom inputs. Yes, yeah, that's more a more powerful solution than what I just shared now. Okay, this is like a super solution.
Actually, it is working because of that the for loop checking the string you given. This is sorted.
Yeah.
That is why, because the same logic I also applied one of the means alphabetical sorting. There is also this works when I typed ABCD in that order, and then I try to sort the these things to find out the index. It will work.
Right. Okay, I think we have kind of reached the end of the session. So
just one clarification.
Yeah.
For the programming quiz one, which is on I guess 17th.
Yeah.
What will be the syllabus?
Syllabus 17th, right? What is 17th? Before 17th, what have we done? So 6th is week 4 deadline. 13th will be week 5 deadline. So you will have, I think, till week 5, not more than that, but till week 5 we'll have.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So this quiz, which is coming on Sunday next, will not have any programming in it.
No, theory exam, the TCS exam will not have any programming. It will have only like your CT. It will be like CT paper. Instead of pseudocode, you will have Python code.
Okay.
Sir, in Python, this term, we total have 5 exam, right? 2 in person and 3 programming.
Yeah.
And you said you will take best 4 out of these 5.
Yeah.
And sir, if before the last means in-person exam, if I find my marks is good, there is no need for sit, then can I absent there?
I think so. See, this is more of operational query, but I think if we say 4 out of 5, it should be 4 out of 5. I don't think.
Sir, but won't there actually be 3 quizzes in the TCS center be conducted and only 2 will be considered?
No, I think it is 4 out of 5. Like every one of these five exams.
No, sir, it is mentioned the end term is compulsory.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Then sorry, don't see. I need to verify. See, this detail I need to verify, and I will get back.
In term is compulsory, then what does it mean? 4 out of 5?
Which means you can probably skip 1 out of the 4.
One of the programming test.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
But then in-term exam will be counted, right?
Yeah. So thanks for pointing it out, Jitesh. So I didn't know this particular detail. I don't know. So I'll also confirm it next time.
Okay.
Okay. So
Sir, I just want to share something.
yeah.
Sir, before this live session, we tried the practice test and we stumbled and struggled a lot. But sir, today as we coded with you around, it was so easy, like it was so easy on mind. So thank you, sir, so much.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, thanks for the feedback. Yeah. So we will try to do this in all sessions. So yeah. So in case you have any questions, don't wait till the session. Of course, the session I take the feedback that you are all finding it useful, but please come to discourse. I see that say few of you are posting questions there. It would be good if more of you come to discourse and paste your code and ask for feedback.
And so one small request, sir, in the practice test, that PT, if you can increase the number of questions there for our practice.
So yeah, see, this itself is like this term, it will be a bit tough, right? So currently if you have solved every single question, the actual number is 1 or 2. You would have by now solved 102 programming problems.
But most of them are, it's very basics. Means at least after certain time, it will actually
Yeah.
things are coming, sir.
Yeah.
In that type of question, sir, if you can add in PT, then it will be very helpful. Because by solving problem, I cleared a lot of doubt. By only listening these videos, it is clearing, but only when I'm stuck in the problem and keep on trying, and then actually I benefited myself.
Right. So we'll try to add more, but again, the constraints, there are certain constraints, right? So which we have to take into account, and see, at this much we'll certainly have. So every week 20 problems at least we'll try to upload. More than that, it's going to be a bit of a stretch. We'll see.
Okay, because the problem that you selected and the way this platform design, it is very helpful. That is why I'm saying, sir.
Sure. Yeah, we'll try to include more.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, that's about it. We can, thanks for joining.
Sir, one last question.
Yeah.
Sir, we'll be having some mock tests for quizzes.
Yeah, for quiz 1, the mock test is ready. It needs to be configured. So that will be released soon.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.